Hey Rovers, I am delighted to be at sea. This is the second day of our passage to Halifax. It's the first solo passage that I'm making on Wave Rover 2. Now, as some of you may not know, I've made lots of solo passages in the past. I've crossed the Pacific solo, I've crossed the Atlantic twice solo, all in small boats, 26 feet. But this boat is only 21 feet and it's junk rigged. Let's head up on deck and just see what the weather's like.
The Wave Rover 650, a design based on my single-handed ocean voyages. She's small, light, but easy to build, and strong enough to cross any ocean.
My name's Alan Mulholland, and this is the Wave Rover story. There's the Mark III Mini doing what she does best, steering. It is really, really pleasant. It's about 8 knots of wind. We're going as close to the wind as we possibly can. We're probably 45 degrees off the wind. This is what the sail looks like. But the wind is just coming in, probably on my face. I feel it. We're right about there. So we're approximately 45 degrees off the wind, somewhere right in that vicinity. Where do we want to go? We want to go probably right about there, 45 degrees, and we can't get there. So we're heading offshore quite a distance, about 40 miles, maybe 50. We'll see what the wind's like. We're going to sail to the wind, meaning we'll let the wind dictate exactly when we're going to tack, and then we'll make that big tack to Halifax. But let's go inside now and just see what the boat looks like after 24 hours of sailing solo. So just like on Wave Rover 1, I like to keep a pretty tight ship. You know, I spent probably a week or so organizing the boat when I was in Port Hawkesbury, and I know where every nut and bolt is. In fact, all the nuts and bolts were individually packed into packages, and screws were separated, tools have been separated, food has been separated. I'll probably go into more detail on that on a later video, but I just like knowing where everything is, but it's more than that. The trim of the boat has improved greatly now that we've put everything away, because when we initially made the trip from Charlottetown to Port Hawkesbury, you know, it was a rush. We had to throw everything into the boat, so nothing was really stored down low where it should be. So last night, even when it was blowing 12 to 13 knots, Wave Rover was, well, she had full sail up, and she was probably only heeled over maybe 10-15 degrees, so nowhere near needing that first reef. And that's really good, because we felt as though on the trip from Charlottetown to Port Hawkesbury that we needed to reef sooner, but all that is improved, and that's just a matter of getting the weight down low. Plus, this is now a full warload. By that I mean she has enough water and food to go for 90 days. 90 days! There's a lot of our canned food is organized and down here. Locked. Well, the sunny weather has disappeared. Let's go up and take a look. And it has been replaced with fog. The wind has also increased. She's now blowing about 12 to 13 knots. We've got a few little white caps forming. The waves are probably, they're a good 3 feet. Getting just a tiny bit of spray on occasion coming up on the foredeck, but amazingly dry back here in the cockpit area. So the wind's blowing about 13 knots. The Mark III Mini continues to do her work without any problems whatsoever. Well, she's a little rough right now, but you can see the speed we're doing. We're probably averaging 3.2 knots. We're steering very, very close to the wind, and we're going to keep on this course for at least 2 or 3 hours. We want to get fairly close to waypoint number 1. Once we're there, we'll be in a really good position to we can actually steer west, so we should be in a good position to fall off to Chebucto Head, and that's the entrance to Halifax. I'm really enjoying this sail. You know, it's really testing the rig. We tested the rig downwind from the Charlottetown to Port Hawkesbury run. Now we're testing windward capability of Wave Rover on the North Atlantic. And we can see here we have a few contacts. This one right here, it's a commercial ship, no danger to us. And we've got another one just over here, and it just has a number, which is usually an indication that it's a fishing boat. Apart from that, nothing else on the screen. So I'll just maintain this course for another couple hours, keep a bit of a lookout and get a rest, and then this evening we'll alter course. Mark III Mini doing a great job. We've had to tack again, and tacking is really simple. All I need to do is just rotate the base of the Mark III Mini by however many degrees I want to tack, and that's it. The boat will tack itself. The sheets, because they come to a central point, just pivot, and there's no more work involved than that. But visibility is less than 100 yards, and the sea, although it probably doesn't look like it, the waves are about 3 feet. And we just have the beginning formation of whitecaps, and it's blowing probably about 12 to 14 knots last time I checked. At this rate, we'll be entering Halifax Harbor probably at midnight tonight, and just starting our 4th day at sea. It's absolutely lovely to be out here. You know, despite these conditions that many people don't like, I'm having a great time. I love it. You know, it's a real opportunity to challenge myself and the boat, get to know it better, and it really just clears the mind to have conditions like this and to put all your focus into what you're doing. Well, Rovers, it's day 3. And I'm just having a time of my life here. The wind has picked up. It's probably doing about 12 to 14 knots, and we had all kinds of contacts through the night. The closest one was about 200 yards, but everybody knew everybody was in the picture. Like, I had AIS, they had AIS. There was really no need to even talk. You could tell they were making course corrections. Anyway, let's go outside and just see what this looks like. We're finally on a beam reach. This is the first break we've had since we started. We've had the wind on the nose, and this will only last a few hours, but let's go up and see it. There's the Mark III. It's showing itself to be on a beam reach, nice and steady. We've got fog, lots of fog right through the night. In fact, we've had fog for about 14 hours. Drawing nicely. Few little white caps forming. So all in all, pretty nice sailing conditions. I mean, they're not ideal. These are not Caribbean sailing conditions, but for me, I love this. It's an opportunity to get out, challenge myself with the headwind sailing, with the multiple contacts, with the sea and swell, and I just feel great to be back out here again. Anyway, that's all for now. The Mark III is doing a pretty good job, and Wave Rover seems to be enjoying being on a beam reach. We're doing, well, the better part of 5 knots under full sail with about 12 to 14 knots of wind and medium seas. So let's head up on deck now. So the seas are building. They're probably about 4 feet, a little over a meter. We've got white caps formed. Now take a look at the sail. Probably 2 meters. Well, we're close enough to the harbor right now that we could sail in. We're right here, and the harbor more or less starts where my finger is, and it's only 5.6 nautical miles away. We're doing a speed of 3 knots, more or less. The reason is, and I'll take you outside right away and you can see it for yourself, the reason is that we've got a lot of fog, and that fog at nighttime is just really hard to see anything through. So I'll just shut this down. We'll go outside. She's a bit rolly. So visibility is less than 100 meters. The seas are about a little over a meter and a bit, probably 4 feet. I know that I'm not going to be able to see through that when I enter the harbor, and we're going to a narrow little spot, an arm off of the harbor, which has a number of unmarked moorings, so we're not going to chance it. We're going to spend the night out here. We're going to tack back and forth, but I have my fenders already standing by. I have my mooring lines standing by, and I've already topped up the fuel, so we're ready to go at first light tomorrow morning. So this particular area really doesn't have a lot of shipping in it, so I'll just zig back and forth until sunrise, which is about 10 hours from now. So the reason I've tucked those reefs in is because I want to slow down. So we're heeled over probably only about 5 to 10 degrees right now, and prior to this it was more like maybe 10 to 15 degrees under the full sail. The difference is under the full sail we were doing about 4.5 to 5 knots, and now we're doing about 3 to 4 knots, so we've slowed down quite a bit, and that's what I want to do. I don't want to cover a lot of distance as I tack back and forth tonight waiting for sunrise, because at sunrise, even if we have this fog, although they tell me the fog should disappear from inside the harbor at 4 o'clock this morning, we're going to wait till sunrise just to have that extra safety. Now, I could navigate with Navionics into the main harbor just using using Navionics, because it's a well-run harbor. There's the channel is kept open, but we're not going into the main harbor. We're going into North Arm, and North Arm is where the Armdale Yacht Club is, and in that narrow arm that shoots off from the harbor, there's a number of moorings that are unmarked, and it's a narrow passage, and I haven't been there before. And then tying up at a marina in fog by myself, unassisted, not knowing where to go, what slips are open, it's not really something I want to try at what would be about midnight to 2 o'clock in the morning. Instead, we're going to be doing that about between 8 o'clock and 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. Anyway, folks, I'm going to probably just rest for about 10 or 15 minutes and then tack the boat. About to make our run into Halifax. Now, last night I sailed between probably this point and out to this point. I stayed well inside the traffic separation scheme right here. And I was waiting for the sun to come up. It came up about an hour ago, but at that point we had a number of deep seas. We had a Celebrity cruise ship here and another one here, and a container ship just up ahead. So they were all waiting for the sunlight as well, and they entered and had a pilot ship. So it was really busy, and it's still a little bit busy. But now I'm going to make my run, and instead of going to this arm as I had planned, I'm going all the way into the bottom of the harbor, and there's two reasons. One is Hurricane Lee, and we'll talk about that in another episode. But the second reason is I got a message from an old Navy buddy of mine who has an empty mooring at the Dartmouth Yacht Club. So that's another reason I'm heading into there. Now, let's go up on deck. I'm going to show you what happened just 20 minutes ago. So one of our UFROs broke, and we've had to make just a slight jury rig of the sail, and that's what she looks like. So the upper UFRO should be attached. It's not, but it's not really causing a big problem. I'll remember this, if the sail is reefed like she is, she still forms a nice sort of belly there in these light airs. Something to keep in mind. Now, why did the UFRO fail? Well, that's interesting. It had cracked before I left. There it is. I don't know exactly what happened there. There wasn't enough glue, perhaps. Second problem is the water got in and started swelling and cracking these a couple of weeks ago. So I do have a spare pair on board, and they're fully sealed, so we shouldn't have this problem. And the second fix is I have a couple of friends who love the look of them and had solid wood, nice hard solid wood, and they're making spares for me. So I'm going to have no end of spare UFROs. Nice that it happened at the end of the sail. I'm just about to lower it anyway and start the engine for our run up the harbor. Visibility has improved greatly. I probably have a good 200 yards now. And we're standing by with our fenders and our dock lines. Well, Rovers, I just have to say that was a great sail. Felt good to be solo again on the boat, and really it was a delightful passage. It was just a little over 3 days. I had contrary winds, I had tons of fog, but that didn't dampen my spirits at all. I'm now at the Dartmouth Yacht Club, and I'll just do a little swing around here. It is a great place, great service. I'm on a mooring, and all I do is just call up on VHF, and someone comes out and grabs me in a nice inflatable tender and takes me into the clubhouse, and I'm really happy with this setup. It's also really well protected, as you just saw in that 360 there. And that's important because Hurricane Lee is barreling down on us as we speak. Probably 4 days from now, Hurricane Lee will be here. I won't be here because I had mentioned earlier in the video that I have to fly to Edmonton. My mother passed away, as I mentioned, and I'll be there for the funeral. So Wave Rover is going to have to weather this hurricane all by herself. I'm going to take a number of precautions. That's what I'll do after I turn off the camera, and I'll show you that in the next video. Anyway, Rovers, as always, thanks for watching, and forge your own adventure.